What I want to do today is show you our field of Hastings prolific. All of this corn is now getting in the milk stage. In other words, it's ready to eat. And you may have seen a video a couple of months ago where we were laying by this corn. It was about knee tall. And this field of Hastings, we have about 2 acres here. It is beautiful. It's 10 to 12 feet tall. And some of those plants back in there may be a little taller than that. One of the reasons this thing is so drought resistant, and it is tremendously drought resistant. It's been in a dry spell here in Alabama, and these plants are healthy. But when you see a plant that is this tall right there, that's probably over 12 feet. When you see a plant that is that tall and it has 2 big heavy ears on it, this is what these ears look like. I want to show you this. That's an ear of Hastings prolific. And you see how straight the rows are? This, my friends, this was one of the finest corns known to farmers for 100 years. It started in around 1903 by the H.G. Hastings Company out of Atlanta. This was probably considered the corn that saved the South, especially during the Depression. You know, not only did people eat it, corn on the cob, or we call it roasting ears. They mainly cream corn. You know, they'd take a knife and cut these the kernels off and cook them. This is a great eating corn, and it's almost extinct. There's very few people that have it. I've been raising it for about 8 or 9 years. I got it from Reverend Zenas Windsor, a good friend of mine and a fellow pastor. He kept this alive. Zenas is 81 years old, and he's kept it alive for I don't know how many years. And he keeps it like me. He keeps it isolated a mile away from any other corn. But this corn is so tall, and it has 2 big ears usually, sometimes 1, but usually 1 to 2 ears, just like that, big ears on it. And you get plants that are maybe 11 feet tall. Well, they have to be deep-rooted or they fall over. And so because they're so deep-rooted, they're fairly drought-resistant. Now, you know, some people will say, well, it's in genetics, but you know, the genetics, of course, makes it tall. And because it is tall, to avoid lodging or blowing over in a storm, it's got to be deep-rooted. So when you have a plant that's deep-rooted, you've got a very drought-resistant plant. So to plant a corn that could help your family survive rough times, Hastings prolific would be hard to beat. I have friends of mine that have grown it all the way up in Missouri. I planted a field at one of the Bass Pro Shop farms up there that Johnny Morris owns, and it was a beautiful field. So I love Hastings prolific. I'm one of the few people in the country that have been raising it. I think in the next year or 2 you'll see a lot of people selling it. But I want to tell you, this corn right here is Hastings. It's not Mosby prolific. It has not been crossed